Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of The Way I See It. My name is Chris. It is 4:07, and this is today. We're going to be focusing on the idea of self-improvement and what does it actually mean. How do we go about focusing on self-improvement? Well, the way I see it is the idea between getting better at something is actually thinking less, and that might be a little bit contradicting, but let's just take a minute and think about this. Zen is pretty much the interpretation of Yamahana Buddhism that came from India. So Buddhism basically comes from India, it originates from India, and we don't necessarily pay attention to that. I mean, you might see a lot of different Buddhas that might be in Asia, but it actually didn't come from China. It's just been interpreted that way. And the idea between Zen is that we are actually our own prisoners of our own mind. We actually believe that we are in control of what we do because we do it. If we always put more effort we put into something, the less we actually figure out what's going on, because every time we're trapped in the perpetual loop of when we do something, we try something again, and we try something again, and try something again. And what happens is that people who are usually able to be unattached from that are able to move without thinking. So our subconscious mind is who we basically think of. There's a Zen story that came from Alan Watts, where the man that says who he is, and he's like, I'm the captain of, this, military base. Like, well, that's not who you are. Like, who are you? And he goes, well, he starts breaking down into like how he's a great husband or father, or he's a kind man. He goes, no, that's not who he is. And what happened was that the Zen Buddhist who was interviewing this guy who was a military man talks a little bit, and then he says a joke, and then the guy laughs, and he goes, there you are, that's who you are. You are the person that you'd be able to laugh instantaneously. So it comes into the idea that when we think about something, when we believe in something, it's the thoughts that we happen instantaneously. The people, and that comes back to focusing on like your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. And my journey of like studying and learning Japanese, I've been able to have the opportunity to read a lot of things in Japanese, and not all things like worked, even made sense when I first was reading it, because I was actively reading it. But it came down to the point where I can see and how the world was changing, and how we were able to see all of the mistakes we made, and we could figure out which choice we should make next. And it actually it correlates very, very well with Zen Buddhism or Buddhism, and that doesn't mean that you should start becoming a Buddhist. No, I don't think you have to even be a Buddhist or a monk. It's just understanding this still thing, you could break it down into something more, that's more easy for you to understand, which is basically, you think about something and what you want to do. And once you plan what you want to do, you think backwards. Steve Jobs basically talked about how they were successful in many of the products they actually had. They were more successful in the products they had than they were unsuccessful, because they first thought about the end goal, which was selling products to their customers, what their customer would want, and would put things together. It was one of the reasons why Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, was able to kind of create such an elegant device, because of the Buddhist principles and the Zen principles that he was getting from Steve Jobs and his influences. One of the influences was like having quieter fans. The first development of the Apple II computer, I think, or the Apple I was very, very loud, and I think Steve Jobs was talking about how it's too loud. It wouldn't be great. This is supposed to be in someone's house. And because of these things, he was able to navigate that boat without rowing it. He was navigating with a sail. He knew what the end person may want. So when we're focusing on entrepreneurship and how we want to be as an entrepreneur, you'll begin to see the connections and play with them. And people who are entrepreneurs don't really work for money. They work for people. They are a servant to society. Each and every single one of us are some level of an entrepreneur. And if you focus more on entrepreneurship, thinking about the customer, focus on your audience. It's much better to focus on two or three people in your group and make sure they're happy every single day, you know. And that's all you want to focus on. And as you make those people happy, your audience will begin to grow, because you're making other people happy, because we're all pretty much the same. We all want the same type of things, you know. And this is hopefully going to lead us to everybody being like almost equally happy across the board. I mean, like, this idea of utopia only comes when we're all connected. Right now, we're probably going to go into this, like, next 2020, you know, 2020 to 2030, we're probably going to go into this like road where everything's going to be like disconnected, and we're going to have to focus on, you know, building ourselves out. But and coming in 2030, coming out of 2030, 2040, hopefully we'll start seeing some of the superheroes who are being trained for these things and can put ideas into people's heads. But I think this is a great opportunity for me and for you, and I hope that you get some value out of this video. So talk to you guys in the next video.